In today's video, we're going to talk about the dangers of rejection. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I am Regina Monique and this is Woman of Your Word, where women are empowered to live courageously for God. Before I begin my videos, I always like to give you an opportunity, if you haven't already done so, to subscribe to the tribe and turn on your notification bell so that you do not miss any new uploads from me in the future. Okay, here's the thing, guys. I feel like the Spirit is really leading me to say this. I never ever want to post a video on here about anything that I have not struggled with or that I am not currently struggling with. I don't ever want to put anything out that God has not dealt with me about, or maybe even that God is currently dealing with me about. I hope and I pray that there is a level of authenticity that comes across to anyone who views, my channel, views my videos, that says, or that communicates that I need Jesus, right? I need Jesus every single day. And I don't get it right all the time. I mess up, I make mistakes, I fall short of God's glory all the time. And so I want that to be communicated, because sometimes it's really easy for us to look at YouTubers or just people who have some sort of platform, to look at them and think because they, speak with authority or they have a certain level of confidence that they have it together, that they're perfect, whatever that is. But I'm not perfect, okay? And I strive every day. I strive for that, right? I strive to be more and more like Jesus, but I have not arrived anywhere. I'm going, right? But I haven't arrived. And so I just wanted to say that, because today we're going to talk about rejection. Rejection is like an Achilles heel for me. I've been working to be better about it and how I deal with it, but it is something that I have struggled with for pretty much all of my life. And so I wanted to start off the video with that little disclaimer to let you guys know that this is very real for me, and everything that I share on here is very real for me. And I hope that comes across to you, to know, especially for somebody who's also struggling, that you're not alone, and that I fight every day to get it right, because I don't always get it right. So yes, today we're going to be talking about rejection. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the dangers of rejection. If we're really honest, rejection is everybody's issue. If you're breathing, you have been rejected. You have felt the pain and the sting of rejection. But we weren't created for rejection. God created us for acceptance. Everybody wants to be and to feel accepted. But because we live in a fallen world, rejection is inevitable. It will happen. The enemy uses rejection against us so that we won't make any progress. He wants us to focus on our hurts and our pains so that we can't see God's goodness, so that we can't see how God loves us, even through rejection. It's the oldest trick in the book, but we have to stay alert and remain aware of his scheme to use rejection against us. If we are not careful, we will fall prey to the dangers of rejection. And there are 10 of them that I want to share, and I'm gonna try really hard, I promise y'all, to not let this video be 42 minutes long. But there are 10 dangers of rejection that I want to share with you. So this topic of rejection, I'm actually gonna split up into 2 videos. The video that we're doing today, we're gonna talk about the dangers of rejection, and then the next video, we're gonna talk about how to overcome rejection, because we gotta bring it back to Jesus, right? We gotta talk about Jesus a little bit and talk about how we can actually overcome rejection through him. All right, so let's get into it. The first danger of rejection is we can become overly dependent on the acceptance of others. Some of us will do anything to avoid rejection from other people. Now, it's one thing to be rejected by an enemy, right? Somebody who doesn't like you. You already know they don't like you, and so if they reject you, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, it's not that big of a deal. It may not be that big of a deal to you. But to be rejected by a close friend or a loved one, it's a whole nother ball game. And some of us will do anything to avoid being rejected by the people that we love or the people that we care about. Now, again, we were created for acceptance. So there is a healthy level of acceptance that God put on the inside of us. But if you are someone who has been rejected to the point where now you will do anything to avoid it in your relationships, the danger of that is that you will begin to idolize your relationships. You will begin to put your relationships ahead of God or before God. Everything you do can become about pleasing people or a person instead of you pleasing God and doing things for the sake of your relationship with God. You're already loved and accepted by an amazing God, but when you center your life around pleasing others and making sure that you're not rejected by other people, you actually place their love and acceptance ahead of God's, making that relationship or those relationships an idol. Number 2, the second danger of rejection, and we're gonna go through these quickly, like I said, because 42 minutes, okay? We ain't got time for that. All right, the second danger of rejection is rejection can cause us to be severely isolated. And when I say severe, I'm saying rejection can make us think that we don't need anyone, okay? It can make us feel like, I got it, I don't need you, I'm good. And that's a dangerous place to be because Satan always will attack us in isolation. And that mentality of I don't need anybody can also lead to you becoming an idol unto yourself. I can do it, I can handle it, what I need them for, I'm good. Everything becomes about you and your strength and your abilities. And you neglect people who actually can help you. But then the even more dangerous side to that is that you neglect God, who is your source of help for everything. And I'll keep it real with y'all, okay? Every time I've been in a situation where I've been rejected by somebody, isolation has been my go-to. I have always said to myself after I've been rejected, well, I don't need them anyway. And not only do I not need them, I don't need nobody. So I'm just gonna, forget about everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'll be all right by myself. And then what happens every single time that I find myself in a place of isolation or get myself in a place of isolation is the enemy attacks. The enemy attacks and temptation comes and sin is then crouching at my door. And instead of running to God, okay, I run to the thing that I feel like will make it better because I can do it, right? When really, I can't do nothing, okay? I can't do anything without God. So it becomes about my own strength and my own abilities to live my life and just handle things the way that I feel like they can be handled. I don't depend on anybody, or I feel like I don't need anybody, but I also feel like I don't need God. Okay, so number 3, the third danger of rejection is rejection can cause us to be easily offended. I could really do a whole video on the spirit of offense because your girl, I already told y'all know I'm super duper, okay, sensitive. Right? And rejection can heighten that for me, or has heightened that for me. And if I'm not careful, I find myself being easily offended about everything. Rejection can cause us to really develop a spirit of offense where we can feel like everybody's against us and, we can develop this victim mentality and we just become reactive to everything. It's just a mess. And so we have to be aware of that. The fourth danger of rejection is rejection can cause us to reject others before they reject us. Now, what I mean is, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this saying that hurt people hurt people. And basically what that means is rejection can cause us to live in this perpetual state of just anticipated rejection. We we always live in anticipation that somebody's going to reject us around any corner. And so to avoid that, it's like, I'm gonna get you before you have an opportunity to get me. So what does that look like? Let me see if I can break it down for y'all. In my life, that has looked like, okay, so say I am in a relationship with someone, just a platonic friendship with somebody, and things are going good. You know, we're getting to know each other, we're hanging out, we're having a good time. But for me, because I have experienced rejection a lot, I might begin to say to myself, this is probably not going to end well, or something bad is going to happen. So what I would end up doing, or what I could end up doing, is maybe I stop returning their phone calls. Maybe I don't respond to their texts. Maybe I start canceling on things that we have planned together because I am going to back out of the friendship or the relationship before you have an opportunity to do anything that's going to hurt me. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It's like a foreboding joy, which is a term coined by the great Brene Brown. But what's the word? A better word for it. Sabotage, right? It's like you sabotage the relationship before that other person has an opportunity to do something, because you just think that something bad is going to happen, right? You do it, you ruin it, you reject them before they have an opportunity to reject you. And I raise both of my hands for that. I am guilty of that. That just being rejected so much has caused me to just live in this state of anticipation that it's going to continue to happen in all of my relationships. And so I reject others before they reject me. And guess where you find yourself after you rejected that person? Back in isolation. See how it all works together. Like, the enemy is he's very crafty. I don't want to call him smart, but he's very crafty, right? All of these things, all of these dangers, they kind of play upon one another. And that's why I think it's so important for us to just be aware of the dangers of rejection. The fifth danger of rejection is, if we've been rejected so much, it can cause us to misunderstand people and to misunderstand situations. Now, this one kind of goes along or ties into having a spirit of offense, right? Or being just overly sensitive. Because what happens is you're always looking through a lens of rejection. And it makes it difficult for you to ever see the best in people. Everybody doesn't have bad intentions. But because you're looking at them, or you're looking at a situation through the lens of rejection, you're mischaracterizing that person. You're misunderstanding that situation. It's not allowing you to look at it in a positive light. You're always going to look at things negatively. And even if people don't have good intentions, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in the next video when I talk about overcoming rejection, but I feel like it's worthy to bring up now, that even if people don't have good intentions, we still have to see people in good light. Like, we still have to fight to see the best in people, because you know why? Because sometimes our intentions are jacked up, okay? And we do things to hurt God, and He always sees the best in us. So we have to then, in being like God, we have to do the same thing. The sixth danger of rejection is rejection can cause us to feel and live in shame. I know I mentioned Brene Brown earlier, and I'm actually a fan of her work, but I just want to say this. Brene Brown is not the original researcher of shame, okay? She did a great job, but shame has been around since the Garden of Eden, right? The Bible talks about Adam and Eve being naked and feeling shame. But I want to tell you something. Jesus, when He died on the cross, He did so scorning its shame. That's Bible. Okay, shame is not a new idea. And if we're not careful, and if we're not being aware of the enemy's schemes, right, just like he did to Adam and Eve in the garden, he can cause us to feel the same shame as a result of being rejected. Shame makes us believe that there's something wrong with us. So if somebody rejects you, you'll think something is wrong with me. When no, nothing is really wrong with you. Something might be wrong with them, causing them to do and say something, ill against you. And even when somebody lovingly corrects you, you might internalize that to say, well, dang, something is wrong with me. No, something is not wrong with you, but something isn't right with your behavior, or maybe something that you said. Shame means that we are internalizing the rejection to believe that something is wrong with us. And that's a very dangerous place to be. Shame creates a hostage situation. It really can keep you captive in a place that God never intended for us to be. Which leads me into the seventh, learn how to count, I really did 6. Which leads me to the seventh danger of rejection, depression. Shame can lead us into a place of depression. Now, let me just say something about depression, because it is very real, okay? It is a mental illness. I have a whole bachelor's degree, which means I have read a lot of mental health books, okay? It's a very real thing. So if you are somebody who is struggling with depression, or maybe you don't even know you're struggling with depression, but you just don't feel mentally all together, please get help. It is a very serious illness, and I personally have struggled with it, and so I take it very seriously. So please get help if you need to get help. Depression includes numbers 1 through 6. Being overly dependent on the acceptance of others. It includes severe isolation. It includes being overly sensitive and easily offended. It includes rejecting other people before they have a chance to reject you. It includes misunderstanding people and situations. You aren't seeing clearly. You aren't thinking clearly. So of course you're not going to understand situations and others correctly. It includes shame. It's a very dangerous place to be. If we're not being aware of the enemy's schemes, we'll find ourselves in a place of depression as a result of being rejected. The eighth danger of rejection is rejection can cause us to blame God. Now, God is sovereign. There's nothing that happens or does not happen that is outside of his control. There are things that he allows, but in terms of evil, God does not cause evil. God is not evil. God is light. If we're not careful, we can then see God as the reason why we were rejected by someone, when really evil, the enemy, is the reason why. Sin is the reason why someone hurt us or someone rejected us. You know, I'm gonna talk about this in the next video when I talk about overcoming rejection, but again, I feel like it's worthy to mention now. There's a scripture in 1 John that says, God is light and in him there is no darkness. We have to remember that when we're in a situation where we're feeling rejected and we're wondering why God caused this, or blaming God for the situation, for that happening. God is not evil, right? He is light. There's no darkness. There's no evil in him. And it's the evil in the world that causes someone to do something wrong against us or to us. A real danger of rejection is us blaming God for that rejection happening, or blaming God for that pain that we felt. Number 9, the ninth danger of rejection. We're almost there, guys. Number 9 is rejection can cause us to hinder ourselves from receiving from God. What does that look like? It could be a situation where you might say, well, I believe God is able. I believe God can do anything for other people, but I don't believe God will do it for me. Based on my history, based on my past and the situations that I've been in, and I've been hurt and I've been rejected, God's not going to do that for me. Like, it hinders us, you know, in our thinking and our believing that we can actually receive something great and wonderful from God. And because we don't believe him, we don't receive from him. Number 10, and the final danger of rejection is this. If we've been rejected so much, if we're not careful, we can find ourselves over-identifying with being rejected. What I mean is, we can see rejection so much, right? We notice it so much, we recognize it so often in our lives, like we identify it with it so much that it can cause us to fail to see Jesus. In the next video, this is actually going to be the crux of that video, so make sure that you are watching, or that you're tuned in, that you've smashed your notification bell so you don't miss the upload. But rejection can cause us not to see Jesus. Over-identifying with rejection can cause us to miss Jesus completely. The Bible tells us that the enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. That is what he does. He uses rejection to steal, kill, and destroy. We have to be aware of his scheme. But Jesus came that we would have life and have it to the full and have it abundantly. And if we are so focused on all of the times we've been rejected, we are over-identifying with that. It'll cause us to miss the life that Jesus died to give us. All right, friends, we made it to the end of this video. If you stayed to the end, give yourself a hand clap for yourselves. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you found value in this video. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And I also wanted to let you guys know that I created a free printable worksheet that goes along with this video. You can click the link in the description box to get access to it, which also leads me to another wonderful announcement. My website is finished. It is now live. I have launched it and I'm so excited to share it with you guys. I have some other great resources there as well. I really hope that you go and check it out. I hope that you find value in the resources that are already there. I plan on putting more out there for you guys to help us to grow and continue to be empowered and to live courageously for God. And per usual, you know that I don't like to close out a video without giving you guys another opportunity to subscribe to the YouTube family, subscribe to the tribe, like I always like to say. Make sure you turn on your notifications because I really don't want you guys to miss any uploads from me in the future. You can also find and follow me over on Instagram at Woman of Your Word. Again, I thank y'all so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.